My friends, today we face a story, not just of politics, not just of diplomacy, but of power, betrayal, and truth. For decades, the United States and India built bridges of trust. They dreamed of strength, unity, and prosperity together. But history shows us that sometimes, one person, one decision, one betrayal can shake even the strongest foundations. This is the reality of how U.S.-India relations were tested, challenged, and nearly destroyed by the actions of one Indian voice, a figure who chose self-interest over unity. And today the truth has been exposed, not by whispers, but by hard reality. Strength comes from unity, not from division. This truth is as old as history itself. Yet it is often forgotten when ego, greed, or self-interest take control. When two powerful nations come together, when they stand side by side with trust and respect, they can move mountains, they can inspire the world, and they can shape the future. The bond between the United States and India once stood as an example of such unity. It was not simply about politics or economics. It was about shared values of democracy, freedom, and ambition. But history also reminds us that when unity is broken, even the strongest partnerships can crumble. One act of betrayal, one careless choice, one selfish ambition can undo years of trust. Unity is not just a word. It is a force. It is like a chain, each link holding the other tightly. When every link is strong, the chain can pull enormous weight. But when one link weakens or breaks, the whole chain loses its power. This is what happens in relationships between nations, between leaders, and even between individuals. The moment unity cracks, the enemies outside begin to see weakness. They exploit division, they spread confusion, and they gain strength. Division is like a poison. It spreads quickly, and if it is not stopped, it destroys everything in its path. We must understand that strength built on unity is not temporary. It lasts. But strength built on division is fragile, like a house of cards waiting to collapse. When one Indian voice chose ambition over unity, when one action placed personal interest above national trust, the bond between two powerful nations began to shake. It wasn't the economy, it wasn't military might, it wasn't even ideology that caused the rift. It was the breaking of unity. The lesson is clear. Greatness is never achieved through division. Greatness only comes when people, communities, and nations rise together with one vision, one purpose, and one heart.
Think of unity as a shield. Alone, each soldier may be strong, but united with shields locked together, they are invincible. This is how nations survive. This is how friendships between countries endure. But when one soldier lowers the shield, when one chooses to step aside, the entire formation is exposed. That is what betrayal does. It lowers the shield and leaves even the strongest exposed to attacks. When division entered the picture between the United States and India, it was not just a crack in policy. It was a crack in trust. And once trust is broken, it is the hardest thing to rebuild.
But there is also a powerful truth here. Unity is not destroyed forever. A broken bond can be repaired if the will is strong enough, if the commitment is real, and if both sides understand the cost of division. The collapse caused by one act of betrayal teaches us that unity must always be protected, guarded, and valued more than ambition. Because without unity, strength is only an illusion. For nations, for leaders, and for every single individual, the message is the same. Stand together, protect unity, and never allow division to rule. Unity is not weakness, it is the ultimate power. It is what makes a country strong, what keeps relationships alive, and what ensures that truth will outlast lies. When unity is defended, strength is limitless, and when strength is limitless, no force on earth can destroy it. Truth always rises above lies. It may take time, It may take struggle. It may even cost pain and sacrifice. But no matter how deep lies are buried, no matter how powerful the deception may seem, truth finds a way to break through. History has proven this again and again. Empires built on lies have collapsed. Leaders who thrived on deception have been exposed, and friendships that were broken by falsehoods have eventually found clarity in truth. The lesson is eternal. Deception might control a moment, but truth commands the future. When U.S.-India relations were shaken, it was not because of strength, not because of vision, but because of lies. One man's ambition, one individual's deception became a spark that spread like fire. Lies are designed to mislead, to control, to manipulate emotions. They seem strong at first, but in reality, they are fragile. Lies are like glass. They may look solid, but once truth strikes, they shatter. The exposure of betrayal between two great nations reminds us that lies can win the noise of today, but they can never control the silence of tomorrow. The truth is, like light, darkness can cover it for a while, but darkness can never defeat it. When the truth begins to rise, no force can stop it. It exposes every shadow, it reveals every hidden corner, and it destroys fear. In the case of relations between the U.S. and India, truth became the weapon that could not be silenced. When false narratives, secret deals, or self-serving ambitions tried to dictate the path of nations, reality spoke louder. The world saw the deception, and the world demanded answers. Lies can feel powerful because they give temporary control. A person who lies believes they are clever, believes they are shaping destiny, but what they do not realize is that every lie is a debt. Every false word, every hidden agenda is a debt waiting to be paid back in truth. And when the truth arrives, it demands payment in full. That payment often comes with consequences: loss of respect, collapse of trust, and the destruction of influence. The Indian figure who betrayed trust may have thought his lies were enough to control the narrative, but when truth rose, it destroyed everything he built on deception. Truth is also unstoppable, because it connects to conscience. Deep inside, even those who benefit from lies know the truth. They may deny it, they may suppress it, but the human spirit recognizes reality. Nations can be blinded for a time, people can be misled for a time, but conscience never sleeps. Eventually, truth knocks on every door, demanding recognition. This is why the exposure of betrayal between two allies was not just political, it was moral. It was proof that conscience cannot be silenced forever. For those who believe in lies, let this be the reminder: you cannot hide forever. For those who stand for truth, let this be encouragement: patience always wins. Truth requires courage, but it rewards with freedom. Lies require weakness, and they punish with destruction. The world does not remember deceivers with honor. It remembers truth-tellers as leaders. And the bond between nations, no matter how shaken, can be rebuilt on truth. The destruction caused by lies may wound, but the strength of truth heals. The lesson is clear for leaders, nations, and every individual: build on truth, because truth endures. Lies may glitter like gold, but they are nothing more than dust in the wind. Truth is the foundation of every lasting victory. And in the story of U.S. and India, no matter how deep the betrayal, the truth rose above it. It always will. Truth always rises above lies. No matter how strong the walls built to hide it may appear. Lies are loud, aggressive, and often wrapped in charm to convince people they are real. But truth is patient, steady, and relentless. Lies can rule for a season, but truth rules for eternity. This is a lesson history has taught again and again, and it is also the lesson hidden inside the story of U.S.-India relations, being shaken by one act of betrayal. For a moment, deception may have looked powerful. It may have created illusions of strength. But when the fog cleared, Truth stood tall. Lies are like shadows. They can stretch long, they can cover ground, they can even create fear. But the moment the light of truth shines, shadows retreat. That is the nature of deception. It works only when the light is hidden, when one individual placed personal ambition above trust. When self-interest became more important than loyalty, lies spread like smoke between two powerful nations. For a short while, the smoke blinded eyes, created confusion, and weakened trust. But smoke never lasts forever. The winds of reality blow it away. And then everyone sees what was hidden. That is the power of truth. The world often feels controlled by lies because they are immediate. They offer quick solutions, instant power, and false confidence. A lie can gain applause today. It can silence critics for a week. It can even change the direction of nations for a short period of time. But lies are like weak bridges. They might carry weight for a moment, but eventually they collapse under the weight of reality. Truth does not collapse. It may take longer to build, it may require more effort. But once it stands forever. The cracks in U.S. India relations revealed this lesson. One man's lie could bend the trust, but it could not break the foundation built on truth. Another reality is this: lies always carry consequences. Every lie is like a debt, and sooner or later the debt must be paid. That payment often comes in the form of exposed betrayal, broken reputations, and lost respect. When the truth finally rose in this case, the cost was heavy. The individual who had chosen deception over unity lost credibility, and the relationship between two nations carried scars. Yet those scars also became reminders that lies may win temporary battles but never the war. The war always belongs to truth. There is also strength in knowing that truth liberates. Lies create chains. They bind people to fear, to secrets, and to constant anxiety of being discovered. A lie demands another lie, and then another, until it becomes a prison. But truth breaks chains. It sets people free. It sets nations free, and it creates confidence that does not need to hide. When the truth about betrayal surfaced, it not only exposed the weakness of lies, it also gave clarity to the world. Clarity is power, because when people see things as they really are, they can make decisions with strength. For leaders, for nations, and for every individual, the lesson is direct. Choose truth, even when it is harder, even when it takes longer, because truth gives lasting strength. Lies can make you look powerful today, but tomorrow they leave you powerless. Truth may cost you today, but tomorrow it makes you unstoppable. The relations between the United States and India faced turbulence, but it was truth that revealed the path forward, and this is how it will always be. Truth rises, lies fall, and the future belongs only to those who stand with truth. Never let one person define a nation. A country is not built on the voice of a single leader, nor can its destiny be written by the actions of one individual. Nations are built on the dreams, sacrifices, and resilience of millions of people. When the relationship between the United States and India was shaken by the decisions and actions of one Indian figure, it created the illusion that the future of two great nations could be destroyed by a single betrayal. But illusions do not last. A nation is far greater than the sum of its leaders. A nation is defined by its spirit, its people, its culture, and its collective vision, not by the failures of one person. Throughout history, leaders have risen and fallen, some becoming symbols of greatness, others remembered for betrayal. Yet nations survive. Nations endure. When one individual falters, the people rise stronger. The story of strained U.S.-India relations teaches us this lesson. One act of selfishness may cause damage, but it does not define the destiny of two civilizations bound by history, values, and common goals. No matter how powerful one figure may seem, they are never bigger than the heart of a nation. It is dangerous to allow the mistake of one to stain the image of millions. When a single voice chooses self-interest it does not mean the entire nation stands behind that choice. The citizens of India, like the citizens of America, dream of progress, stability, and unity. Their voices together are louder than any one person's deception. The true identity of a nation is found not in the betrayal of a leader, but in the strength of its people to rise above betrayal and rebuild trust. That is what makes a nation unbreakable. We must remember that power in the wrong hands can distort perception. A single figure may have the ability to disrupt alliances, create mistrust, and manipulate relationships, but that disruption is temporary, because eventually people and nations begin to see the bigger picture. They realize that trust is not built on one leader's words, but on shared values, cooperation, and long-term vision. The noise of betrayal may echo for a while, but the voice of the people always outlasts. It is also true that the world must not judge a nation by the weakness of one of its sons or daughters. Every country has had leaders who failed, who deceived, who acted out of selfishness rather than loyalty. But nations must not be reduced to their failures. Nations must be seen for their potential, their contributions, their will to rise again. India is not defined by betrayal. It is defined by its billion people striving for a better tomorrow. The United States is not defined by division. It is defined by its belief in liberty and strength. When these truths are remembered, no act of betrayal can permanently destroy unity. The story is a reminder to every citizen: never give away your identity to the actions of a single person. You are more powerful than one leader. You are more important than one betrayal. Together people carry the weight of history, not politicians. Together they shape the path of nations. The actions of one can break trust, but the will of millions can rebuild it stronger. So let the world understand this truth. No nation is ever destroyed by one betrayal. No relationship between allies is ever ended by one deception. These may wound, they may scar, but they do not define the future. What defines the future is the strength of the people, the vision of unity, and the choice to rise above mistakes. Never let one person define a nation, because a nation is always bigger than any one name, any one failure, and any one betrayal. When trust is broken, when relationships collapse, when betrayal shakes the ground beneath us, there are only two choices: either fall into weakness or rise stronger than before. History has always shown that challenges are not the end. They are the beginning of something greater. What happened between the United States and India is proof of this eternal truth. A single betrayal may have damaged trust. A single act may have created distance. But it does not mean the story is over. The real test begins in the aftermath. The real question is not about the fall, but about the rise. Strength is not built in comfort, it is built in struggle. When nations are tested, when bonds are threatened, they are given an opportunity to rise stronger. Pain can become power, and betrayal can become wisdom. For two great nations, this is not the time to collapse under disappointment. It is the time to rise with clarity, to rebuild with courage, and to prove to the world that no challenge is big enough to break their destiny. A broken chain can be reforged, and when it is reforged, it becomes stronger at the place where it once cracked. Every challenge is also a teacher. Betrayal teaches vigilance. Division teaches the importance of unity, and lies teach the value of truth. What the U.S. and India face is not the end of trust, but the sharpening of wisdom. They now know what must be protected, what must be strengthened, and what must never again be left vulnerable. To rise stronger means to transform weakness into resilience. It means not only recovering from the blow, but using it to build a foundation so strong that the same mistake cannot happen again. Rising stronger is not about anger or revenge. It is about determination. It is about proving that betrayal cannot write the future. Nations that rise from betrayal do not rise with bitterness. They rise with purpose. They rise by learning, by building new paths, and by showing the world that no force can hold them down. This is the message the United States and India must embody. They must rise, not only for themselves, but as an example to the world that strength is not about avoiding challenges, it is about overcoming them. So let the lesson be clear. Challenges will come, betrayal will happen, and trust will be tested. But destiny does not belong to those who fall and stay down. Destiny belongs to those who rise again, stronger, wiser, and unbreakable. The scar of betrayal can become the mark of resilience. And when the United States and India choose to rise from this challenge, they will not only rebuild their bond, they will make it indestructible, because no challenge has the power to destroy those who refuse to remain broken. So let this moment be a lesson. Let it be a warning. But above all, let it be an inspiration. Because betrayal may shake the ground, but it cannot bury the truth. And truth, my friends, is the strongest weapon we will ever hold. The U.S. and India must now rise, not with anger, but with strength, not with hate, but with wisdom, because when truth is exposed, and when unity is reborn, nothing can stop them, nothing.